life begins when you begin to have a relationship with your emotional body. And in our short, I mentioned good mental health professionals. That's because, as pointed out by those who I follow, they're therapists. They are some childhood trauma survivors, healed and healing, and therapists. And I'm going to use our lovely Patrick Tiahan because he shared a meme the other day, or a community post, about how loving yourself first is confusing for those who have had childhood trauma, because they will read it and it will leave them, I forget the words he uses, but confused is one of them, and then a letdown. So when you don't have an emotional body connection, which is what takes place when a person has childhood trauma from abuse or neglect, there's emotional neglect, there's physical neglect, as well as physical abuse. We have an array of situations and areas that individuals don't know about. So when I hear sentences like, I have learned to play the game to protect myself, or ha ha ha, I can see clearly how vindictive you are and manipulative, or all women are selfish, mean, catty, and they don't know how to be friends, or let's think, how many other stereotypes can I use to make a point about how projecting upset emotions, unfinished business from one's own growing up. Because see, there's also to mention our charged states, and we all have an ego self, and essentially that's what I use as words, like ego self, but I can use the attachment system. In fact, attachment wounds. I talk about trauma and attachment wounds. And so when a person doesn't have secure attachment, they're not securely attached in their body, so they don't see themselves here, or soothe themselves here, or safely be themselves, or securely be themselves. So they don't know how to be their self from within, use that inner growth mindset, allow themselves to go with the flow, because they're 3-year-old, and I use the 3-year-old heart because the first 3 years of our human being life, it's all implicit memory. Then we get explicit memory. There's a way our brain also develops in the first year or two. The right mode of our brain is online, and that's all sensations. It's all body language. It's all nonverbal. Then the left mode comes online. Now we use both. However, those who have unresolved trauma, that they're unaware and they project. So here's where also, thank you, Patrick Tiahan, when he shared about how people who have childhood trauma tend to project their parents, their abuse, upon their partners. And this is not necessarily polysecure individuals. This is individuals who have a partner or partners, and the projecting part is where I believe you to be omnipotent, or you should be omnipotent, all-knowing, and you should know how to tend to my emotions when I get upset. That's why projecting. So you should have known better, for example, sentences that I'm sure every person has had and heard. And when you're securely attached, you're like, well, okay, I'll apologize for your emotional reactivity, but I can't self-regulate you because I'm not you, and your nervous system is you. And there's a way that we can, in fact, talk about things like grown-ups, securely attached. So people who know at the very least about, oh, wait, I have charged states. Oh, I have emotions that are of my 3-year-old, whether they have a shame defectiveness and shame cycle, inner critic, outer critic. Then there's activities that you deny through drugs, alcohol, sex, food, procrastination, bitterness, cynicism, stories about the devil and evil being the ones who made them do it, stuff like that. There's so many different ways that I could present what basically is people who don't know. One, they have transgenerational trauma, unfinished trauma. If they only looked at their household, I'm sure they would figure out, wait a minute, I didn't feel safe here. But because looking at your own household, especially if you have an attachment system that longs to be seen, to be soothed, to be safe, to be yourself, you're going to be like, oh no, there's a feeling of guilt or shame. How dare I judge my parent or parents or siblings who did the best they could? So that's the shame thing going on with your society. You're thinking, no, you're feeling, I shouldn't do this, versus being objective, open, and then like an adult emotionally, because once you move into adult age, you can. But see, again, let me step back. That's only if you have a window of welcome for emotions. So you have to have an emotional body connection. So before we continue, when people don't have their emotional body in the forefront, they don't take their accountability to self-regulate. So they'll be like, you should have known that right now is not a good time. And so I'm going to point a finger, and that's actually safety, trauma, behavior, response, safety. Why? Because the child doesn't know how to handle their words. I saw this little 3-year-old girl in one of these skits, so cute, as she was getting accused by her parents about eating the dog food. And she's like, no, no. And I'm like, wow, that's so cute. I know we all did stuff like that, and it stayed with us because our body remembers what our mind forgets. So we all human beings have charged states, at least according to the good sciences, not the ones who want the silverbacks to keep ruling the world and say, don't pay attention to your body. Your emotions mean nothing. It's like, I'm not really sure about that one, but your emotions mean a lot because you're ruling and ruled by them. And until you know how to harness the left and right mode, so it means when sensations arise. So when you do yoga and you hear philosophy, because yoga has a lifestyle, has a philosophy, has culture, and ancient, but everything that you do in it, one, it's going to help your ventral vagal nervous system, so your human body. Two, it's going to help you to harness your prefrontal cortex, because you're going to be sitting in your mind's eye, and that does a lot of things. So you work with your human being and body brain. And they're great, besides the lifestyle, the culture, the stories, all that other stuff. But when you don't apply it in your relationship, so realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm calling myself light and I'm calling you not light because I think of myself as with my lovely mantle better than you because I'm doing spiritual stuff. Oh, wait, let me not use my survival nervous system because I'll block my spirituality awakening. Okay, you obviously don't know that you need, or actually you can't shut off your nervous system. It's like, what the heck? You can learn how to self-regulate. So basically, if you just find the polyvagal theory and look at the 3 modalities, and then if you're objective again with yourself, I know when my 3-year-old comes up, it's with my mother who is in the home with me, or my twin. Other than that, people usually just get this. And it depends. It's only if they're fun grown-ups. If they're not fun grown-ups, then no, they don't get anything. They get, let me hear what you have to say as you interrupt me every time I open my mouth to correct me, because apparently I need to think and feel the way you are, and you don't know what it means to have subjective experiences because, you're 3-year-old, and whoever knows your silverback is leading the way, and you think it's nice to have, what is it? It's not even an interaction. It's more of, let me tell you everything that I know. It's the dead sure idiots. They know everything about life. Some of us, we just like to have fun with life. So life begins when you can have fun in your body while people get to project their unfinished business in many different ways. It's not actually only with partners. So people that are codependent types, the martyrs that change the world, and then they're also superior or inferior, or self-blamers. I see a lot of people in the groups with their silverbacks going around in charge states. Like, wow, they really should learn about good mental health stuff because that would help them to be better performing in their leadership roles so that they could actually use their emotions and become a little bit more friendly and beautiful to watch as they interact in such important conversations while, by the way, thinking of themselves as intellectually. Let's see, if you're intellectually savvy, then you would know how you work, which means you know all of your charged parts, and you know when you're being an ass or not an ass, you know if you're being spiteful, not spiteful, all these things, and then you choose to be the better version of yourself, because see, we're all people, so we all began as 0 years old. We can all notice spite. Now, I have been thinking about that one because I'm pretty sure I never did something with spite, but never say never. I'd have to ask my mother about it, but I'm going to say, let's say I did do it. I'm sure that at a certain point I will have learned how to apologize because it feels crappy to hurt another person on purpose or to have this type of thing because it's an insecure emotion. It means I feel unworthy. And then it means that I'm going to be treating you like you're unworthy. So this is where you hurt yourself when you hurt others because we are one big ball of consciousness. 4D doesn't know anything about that. They decided to stay stuck in duality. And on that note, one of my favorite songs by the Beatles, All You Need Is Love. As they say that you can learn to play the game and that it's easy. All you need to do is learn how to be you in time. When you create a relationship with your emotional body and your 3-year-old and you see yourself and soothe yourself and say, it's good, you don't have to be perfect because none of us are. That's when you're not going to make mistakes. You're like, oh, you're going to say, hey, I'm human. Let's get together, shall we? Instead of saying, oh, I learned to protect myself from everybody out there. So tune on in for more and have a great day.